All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the late night edition of Commitment Connection. Late night Valentine's Day. I'm actually in Europe right now, so this is not late night for me. It's the morning. It's like 7:30 in the morning. So if you're awake and you're watching this in the United States or wherever you are, welcome, welcome. My name is Matthew Coast, and I am the founder of Commitment Connection here. And today I wanted to talk about a few different things. I've been seeing some different messages in our community. We have a lot of women in our community that chat every day about different things. And one of the questions that has recently come up over and over again is this question about whether doing nothing works with a man. So does doing nothing work when you're dating a man? And I'm actually going to answer a few different questions here. One is about doing nothing, or this concept that we talk about in our community about leaning back. The second one is about not showing any interest, and whether that works or not, and whether that's a part of leaning back as well. And then the last one is about men and sex. And so if you're here watching us right now, make sure that you say hi, watching us. I'm the only person here. If you're here with me right now, make sure you say hi in the chat. I know it's late night in the United States, so I don't know how many people are going to be joining us today. So anyway, we have this concept. It's called leaning back, right? And one of the things that we've found in our community and with a lot of the women that we work with and our clients is that a lot of women are doing everything, right? They're in these relationships where they feel like they are the only person in the relationship. Like they're doing everything, like they're moving everything forward. They're planning the dates. They're, making sure that they're feeling connected. They're making sure that the man's feeling okay. They're putting in all the effort and they're doing everything. And because a lot of times what ends up happening in situations like this is that the women that are in that situation will feel like they're being taken for granted, right? They'll feel like that they're not really being valued by the man, which a lot of times is true. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. And so we give this advice that we call leaning back, right? Leaning back, you can see kind of the metaphor. The idea of doing everything in the relationship is leaning forward. And the idea of like doing nothing, which is what a lot of people think leaning back means, it's this physical like metaphor of actually leaning back and letting. Another example of that is kind of the rowing the boat metaphor, which I got from Rory Ray originally. She talks about if you're the one if you have two people in a boat, right, and you're in a rowboat, are you rowing the boat or are you letting the man row the boat? And, you could both be rowing the boat, I guess, which is kind of an ideal situation sometimes, and sometimes it's not, depending on, what kind of a relationship you're in and what kind of a relationship you want. And so is doing nothing good, right? I think that there are certain situations where doing nothing can be really good, right? It can be an indicator of if you are doing everything in a relationship, or let's say you go on a date with a man, let's say you just met a man and you go on a date, should you lean back, right? Sometimes, or if you're in a relationship with a man, should you do nothing, right? If you go on a date with a man, should you do nothing? What I think you'll determine what the reason why you might want to do nothing is because if you don't do anything, it'll tell you a lot about what's going on with the man, right? Is he interested? Is he trying to push things forward? Is he going to, if you're in a relationship with a man, does he take the mantle? Does he take the oars and start rowing? And so, if you want to find out if how interested a man is in you, you might want to just try doing nothing for a minute and seeing what happens. But doing nothing isn't a good long-term strategy, and it's also not a good strategy if for any like extended period of time, because if you do nothing, there's a lot of other things that one thing we're going to be talking about here in a little bit, and I guess I'll just throw it in there. I was going to kind of save this until the end, but I might as well just throw it in there anyway. And it's this idea of showing interest, right? So there's we've had some women in our community mention that they've heard other like experts or coaches say, don't show interest, like just don't do anything at all, right? And I think that's a bad plan, right? I think you need to show some interest if you want a guy to continue pursuing you. Because one of the biggest fears that men have in terms of relationships is getting put into the friend zone, right? I know it happens to a lot of women as well. But it's like one of the biggest things that happen to men, right? Think about the nice guy, right? You've got the nice guy, and the nice guy is this guy that, he meets a woman and he talks to her and he says these sweet things, and she's like, oh, he's so nice, right? And he's thinking in his mind, maybe I'm getting somewhere with this. And she's thinking in her mind, he's not going anywhere, right? And so, what ends up happening a lot of times is these guys get put into the friend zone, and it happens over and over and over and over again in his life. And almost every guy that I've ever met, unless you're a guy who looks like Brad Pitt or something, you've probably been put into the friend zone before. And so, all right. So, hey, everybody. So I don't know, for some reason in my control here, I'm not getting anybody's, I'm not seeing anybody's chat, but I can see it on the watch page now. So, hey, Jessica. Hey, Christy. Hey, Prey from Thailand. Yep, do nothing wrong. Hi from Mexico. Hi, Blanca. So if you're here with us, say hi. I love it when you guys say hi. And so right now we're talking about doing nothing, whether it works and when it works and when it doesn't work, right? And so one of the things I was saying is that with most guys, they need some kind of indication that you're interested in them, right? Most guys will only pursue you and chase you and try to go for this relationship for a certain period of time before they stop. Right? They kind of give up on that whole idea of doing that, not because they don't want a relationship with you, but they're scared to death of getting put into the friend zone, of making a move. A lot of guys are so scared of getting put into the friend zone that they won't even make a move, right? They won't go for the kiss. They won't do things to try to push the relationship forward or show more like concrete evidence that they're actually interested in you, because they're scared that you're going to say, you know what, let's just be friends, right? So doing nothing, it's good if you're in a situation where you're doing everything and you need to, reevaluate what you're doing in the relationship, where the relationship's going. Is this guy interested in me? Is this guy investing himself into the relationship? So if that's your situation, then yes, you might want to completely do nothing for a minute and just get a gauge for, what kind of effort the man that you're dating is doing in the relationship, or maybe, you go out on a date. And a lot of times women will, they'll try to kind of take charge of the conversation, and they'll get so kind of bottled up and how they're doing and whether they're doing it right and all these things. And it's so much better just to like, it's better to do nothing than to do too much, right? But at the same time, like I said, you also want to be showing interest. You also, it's not a bad thing to do stuff, right? That was another question that we got in the community was like, is it bad that I sent him a text message? Is it bad that I initiated a call with him? Is it bad that, I sent him a gift or I gave him something or, I scheduled this event? It's not a bad thing if it's once in a while, if there's, investment that the guy is making in the relationship as well. One of the things we talked about in the community was this idea of investment, right? There's a question that came up where somebody was asking, well, I was talking to this guy and he said that he likes it when women chase him, right? And then I talked to this other guy and he said that he liked it when women chase him as well. Should I be chasing men? And the answer is not if you want a committed relationship, right? So I used to be a men's dating coach and I taught men and I worked with men for a long, long time. And guess what? We taught men the same thing that we teach women in terms of investment, right? If you want a girlfriend as a guy, if you're out there dating and you're meeting girls and you want a girlfriend, you want a girl to invest in you. Why? Because it makes her feel like she's really in the relationship. It makes her feel like she's committed and she's more likely to become your girlfriend if you're in that situation. I know a lot of women come to our community and they're like, oh, guys just want sex. Guys don't want anything real. And the reality is that it's both ways right now, especially in American culture, is that a lot of women, they just want sex. They don't want anything real. They want to hook up with a whole bunch of guys. I went and talked to a bunch of guys about this stuff not too long ago. And that was one of the biggest complaints that they had, and it's funny to hear that because a lot of women, so many women in our community are like, oh, guys, don't want anything. Well, it's going both ways right now. We're in the age of the hookup culture and guys aren't just hooking up with other guys, right? They're hooking up with women. And so there's a huge portion of women out there that are just hooking up with guys that aren't looking for anything serious. Because let's be real here, having a serious relationship, it takes work, and if you've got a lot of pain from your past, if you've been broken up with, which a lot of women have, a lot of men and women have, most people are running around with baggage. We all have relationships that we've that we've gone through where we've gotten hurt. At least most of us, almost everybody I've talked to. There's very few rare people that haven't. And so, getting into a real relationship and having something that lasts a long time, there's work that's required there. And a lot of people don't want to do that work because it's so much easier just to be in this kind of superficial, like, let's not get deep, let's just hook up and have fun kind of culture. So if you're new here, if you're just joining our live stream right now, make sure that you say hi in the chat. I really appreciate that. Hola, Diana. Valentine's Day. So Prey says Valentine's Day. He texts to me. We just good friends. Okay. I stand alone. Hi, new here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here on our chat in the middle of the night. In America, I know it's early. This is a weird time for me to do a live stream, but I just felt kind of compelled to do one right now, and so I just wanted to jump on here and do a live stream real quick. So we've been talking about two things so far. I'm going to wrap this up not too long from now, and one of the things that we've been talking about is leaning back. Is that is doing nothing okay? And it depends on the situation. Leaning back does not necessarily mean doing nothing. There's this concept that I talk about in some of my programs that's called the invitation, right? And the invitation is this idea where you invite a man to pursue you. You invite a man to come chase you, and that is the best, because men want to, they want to please you. They want to provide for you. They want to protect you. It's a part of our biological nature that we want to take care of things, and there's a lot of men these days, especially in America, who are, they haven't really grown up. There's a lot of men and women in our culture these days who haven't really grown up, and they're still kind of in this, childhood thing where they haven't kind of come into their masculinity and started, taking the role of being a man in our culture, right? Like taking care of things, providing for themselves and other people, going after what they want in life and that kind of thing. And, but, if you give a man room to do that, if you kind of lean back and you put yourself in kind of this feminine receiving position, and you allow a man to take on that masculine position, and then you invite him and encourage him to do things that makes him take on that role and start moving forward and becoming the pursuer in the relationship, most men will actually take that on. I can't tell you how many women that have come through our community where we've taught them some of these principles, like leaning back and, getting into their feminine energy and, getting into their emotions and inviting men to come and pursue them, and then watching how the men in their lives go from possibly being even a little bit more on the feminine or kind of middle ground side to taking the masculine role in the relationship and feeling a lot more comfortable. A lot of the women, there was actually just a post the other day in our community from this woman who said that she's been practicing the leaning back principle, and all of a sudden she said she went to her, it was like her chiropractor or her doctor or something, and that person was telling her that, she's so much more relaxed. This is the most relaxed she's ever been coming to their office, and it's true. It's a powerful way to. You're shocked that I'm that I'm live right now. It's a powerful way to allow a man to kind of step up and take the role of the masculine figure in your relationship. And so those are the first two things that we're talking about. So doing nothing can be is a good indication. You can use it as a good indication of where the relationship is right now, how invested the man is in you in the relationship right now. And the myth about not showing interest, right? You don't want to be overbearing with showing interest, but you want to do an invitation. You want to invite him. You want to show him that you're sexually interested in him, especially if it's brand new in the relationship, right? You're on a date and you like this guy. You don't want to make it all about sex, right? You want to do other things, talk about other topics, have conversations that have more depth and breadth to them. But if he doesn't feel like he's going to be getting into a romantic relationship with you, there's a good chance that he's just going to disappear completely. And so you do want to show interest. You want to show different types of interest, and you want to what I call leading him on, right? You want to lead him on. I actually have a whole text message a report that I created not too long ago that you can get inside of our Inner Circle program. If you're interested in it all, there's a link in the description. You can get a 30-day free trial to our Inner Circle program where you can get this document that talks about how to lead a guy on through text messages. And there's a whole bunch of other text messages in that document as well. It's called I can't even remember the name of it right now. It's like Feminine Texting Secrets Men Crave. And it's a great document. If you haven't joined our Inner Circle program, you should. It's pretty awesome. And so you love my advice. I appreciate that, Nisi. Sorry if I butcher your name. Sometimes I butcher the names on here. How do we know if a guy is still interested if you rejected him a while back and he is dating someone now? That's a good question. I'll talk about that in a minute. And yes, you are good. Thank you. Thank you. So the next one that I wanted to talk about is this thing that has been going around in our community where women have been asking, do men just want sex, right? So there's a lot of women who get online or they get onto Tinder or Bumble or one of those kind of online dating app things, and they find that they're getting bombarded with men who just want sex. So do men just want sex? And the answer is absolutely not. In fact, sex to a man isn't even just about sex. It's not just, for most men, it's not just about kind of the physical pleasure of having sex. There's also a deeper kind of emotional thing that goes on. And if you talk to some of the women in our community, because I've run into this situation over and over and over again, is that some women run into men that don't even try to have sex with them, right? I was actually talking to someone about a couple weeks ago where she had a situation where this guy kept driving down about an hour away to go on dates with her. And she was like, is this guy even actually interested in me? And, he keeps going on these dates, but he's never tried to make a move at all with me. And the answer is absolutely, he's still interested in you, right? He's making these huge, he's investing, right? He's driving an hour to come and visit you. He's going on these long dates. He's probably a nice guy, which is why he hasn't made a move on you. But absolutely, he's interested in you. And why would a man do this? Why would a man drive an hour to come see a woman, not even try to kiss her, not try to make any move on her, and just spend some time with her? Because men want things, because there's a lot of things that men want other than sex, right? There's this thing called the oh, I just lost my train of thought. Okay. Men don't want, men don't just want sex, right? They want lots of different, the love languages. That's what I was going to be talking about. So there's a thing called the 5 love languages, right? And men want things emotionally, and, the different, if a guy hangs out with you and he feels good, he feels like he's getting some of his love languages fulfilled, right? He might hang out with you just for that, right? Guys hang out with other guys for friendship. Some guys hang out with women just for friendship. And guys, I know guys that, they don't even try to hook up with women. They just want to sleep in the same bed with a woman, or they just want to cuddle with a woman, right? Because it fulfills a whole bunch of different emotional needs. If a guy in our culture, or at least in American culture, there's a thing where, a lot of people we're one of the most individualistic nations in the world, right? And so a lot of people don't touch each other, right? I grew up in my family without a whole bunch of touch, and my primary love language is physical touch, and so growing up without getting hugs and without getting that type of love can be really kind of detrimental to a person's health. And if you come into adulthood and you're in this situation, and maybe you don't even know that your primary love language is physical touch, but you don't get physical touch from that many people in your life. Some guys will go out just to, get that physical touch, or if your love language is words of affirmation, maybe you go out and you hang out with somebody and they say nice things to you and you just love to have, be around that kind of a thing, or sometimes deep conversations, right? So a guy might go and hang out with a woman, and let's say that you love deep conversations too. And you guys get into these amazing, wonderful, deep conversations, and maybe he's a really nice guy, which there's a lot of these really nice guys out there who try not to, rock the boat or make too many moves because they don't want to be put into the friend zone. And maybe he doesn't want to be told, doesn't want you to disappear on him. Believe it or not, women are much more likely to ghost men than men are to ghost women. It's a fact. There is a study that was done about this. And so a man, he might be hanging out with you because he just wants to get these deep conversations. And maybe he does want something more with you, but he's afraid that you're going to disappear on him. And so he just hangs out and gets kind of this emotional refill from you every time you guys hang out, whether it's from deep emotional conversations, whether it's from words of affirmation, some kind of physical touch, or maybe being in service with another person, maybe having quality time with another person. Because when you go out on a date, right, you're like, you just hang out with another person. And if that person isn't like sitting on their phone or something, you're getting your quality time piece filled here. So, all right. So I'm going to answer a couple questions here. Can you define feminine energy? Sure. So there's a couple different types of things that happen where, okay, so let's talk about the polarities, right? So there's masculine and feminine polarities. And I actually did a whole live stream on this. You can get, you can find that on our channel. I think it's one of the bigger live streams. Also, I just wanted to mention again, if you guys want personal one-on-one help, if you want somebody to talk to you about your situation in a completely anonymous setting, so if you want to have questions answered in an anonymous setting where nobody will know who you are, you should sign up for our Inner Circle program. There's a free trial, 30 days free trial, and there's a link in the description, so you can click on that and get our free trial for our Goddess Club or our Inner Circle program, which has a whole bunch of different things in it as well. We created this thing called the Devotion, the Keys to His Devotion Masterclass. You get that for free in that program as well. There's Celine talks about some different sexual and intimacy related topics in there, and I give you some text messages that are really, really powerful, some feminine text messages that you can use in that Inner Circle program. There's a link in the description. So feminine and masculine polarities, right? So if you want a guy to be really attracted to you, one of the ways that you can do that, and you can do it forever without straining yourself, without putting yourself into, without, getting a whole bunch of anxiety around it, without having to play games all the time, without having to manipulate a man or trying to make a man, trying to be someone that you're not, right, is to step into your feminine energy. And I hear a lot of women talk about how, oh, I don't have any feminine energy and I don't have a feminine part of myself. We all have a masculine and feminine part of ourselves, right? We can all kind of get into those different sides, right? The masculine side is very hard. It's the directed. It's the side that a lot of people get into. A lot of women are getting into these days for work, right? It's the analytical kind of numbers, the moving forward, the, going after what you want kind of side. It's hard, it's rigid, it's forward moving. The feminine side is the soft side. It's the light side. It's the chaotic side. It's the creative side, right? Whenever you're in your creative mind and you're doing things, whenever you're connecting with people or connecting with nature or connecting with animals. You're connecting with your feminine side, right? And we all have that. I don't care who you are, you've got that. And for men, it's more difficult generally to really dive deep into that feminine side. And for women generally, unless they've been kind of put into this ritualistic habit of getting into a masculine side, it can be really empowering for women, even if they have had experiences like that. Because a lot of women find that we've had a lot of women tell us that they feel so empowered by getting into their feminine side, because a lot of society right now kind of shames and attacks femininity. It shames and attacks women for being feminine, but kind of promotes men to be feminine. We're in a weird time right now in America. And a lot of women are telling us that, taking on some of these principles of just leaning back and kind of getting into these feminine kind of traits and just getting into their body and feeling themselves and, letting go and just, allowing themselves to be and to flow and to be soft and to, connect with nature and people and, just being connected has helped them loosen the amount of stress that they have. It's helped them kind of feel a lot better about themselves and their lives. And they found that they've been a lot more attractive to men. And not only are they a lot more attractive to men, but when a man comes into your space and you're in your feminine energy, he's more likely to invest in you from a emotional, mental, spiritual, financial, and energy standpoint. And the more invested he is in you, the more likely he is to commit to you. It's also incredible. I mean, it's beautiful. Like for a man, men kind of like when women are in this role, sometimes men just, especially in this day and age where it's much more rare to see a woman in her feminine energy, a lot of men will just sit there and just kind of watch. They'll be in this kind of a watcher role, and they're just what they're doing is they're just admiring. Right? They're admiring and they're cherishing this beauty, this beautiful feminine energy that they get to witness, right? They go into this kind of witness role and they get to experience this thing that they don't have quite the same connection to as women do, as most women do. And they just witness it and they experience it and they're mystified by it, right? It's this mysterious thing to most men. And they're just like, wow, this is amazing and beautiful. And it's just, like you want to just grab it and hold it and hug it, and kiss it, because it's just this beautiful, amazing thing that, makes the world a better place and makes the world happier and beautiful. And it kind of pulls or distracts a man from his purpose and allows him to enjoy and kind of experience this wonder and glow of life that he doesn't normally get to experience. I hope that explanation is good. I kind of went off on a tangent there. Okay, so what else do we have here? I just wanted to mention again, if you guys want to have your questions answered in a anonymous, private way, you should join our Inner Circle program. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of content in the new Inner Circle program, and there's a 30-day free trial. So there's really nothing to lose. You can go and check it out. And why are we doing you need a cigarette right now. And why are we doing the 30-day free trial? Because we think that if you join our program and get to experience a lot of the stuff that we have in there, you'll really like it and you'll want to stay in the program and become a member and, join our community and be part of what we've got going on here. And if you go and check it out and you like it, we want to grow our community here. We're on a mission right now to to heal the war between the sexes, to bring men and women together in partnership, because partnership is one of the most empowering ways that you can have a relationship. Right now, there's a huge divide between men and women. There's a lot of pain out there. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of sadness. And we want to heal that stuff. We want to create a better world for relationships. We believe that there's a better way to have relationships between men and women, and it's through partnership. And so we want as many people to join our community as possible and be a part of this mission to heal ourselves and create better relationships with each other. I'm Black. Am I allowed to be in this chat room? Of course you are. What other questions do we have here? So how do we know if a guy is still interested if you rejected him a while back and he is dating someone else now? Well, so Nada, let's just talk about this for a second, right? So there's a situation where it's okay to kind of find out and learn about whether a guy's still interested. And there's a situation where it's not okay, right? We don't want to be home wreckers here in our community. What we do want to do is, if he's still interested, what I would do if I were you is I would do the invitation thing that I was talking about before, where you kind of give him a reason to continue the chat with you. You give him an indication that you want him to pursue you or chase you or invest in you in some way. And when you do that, that's when you lean back, right? It's like there's a methodology for this, right? And what it is you give an invitation and then you see what he does. And that's a gauge for understanding where he is in this whole scheme of things. So if he's interested and you send him an invitation, right, you give him some kind of indication that you want him to pursue you or chase you or invest in you or whatever, and he does, then he's still interested. If he doesn't, then he's probably lost interest, or maybe his interest has gone somewhere else, if there's somebody else that he's dating. But, let's be honest here. Let's just be real here. We live in a very strange time where people are dating lots of other people, and sometimes people date people because they just want to be with somebody, not because that's the person that they want to be with, but because the person they wanted to be with isn't really interested in them, or ghosted them, or stopped showing interest or stopped responding or whatever. And so they ended up with somebody else. And so, yeah, that's it. How long have we gone here? So we've gone 38 minutes. So we need more great, secure men like you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So he said that he needs your presence. It depends on what. So Cactus Jane says, could you tell me what that means? He said he just needs my presence. It depends on what it depends. So it depends on the context, right? So your presence, what he could be talking about is there's two different meanings for the word presence. Right. So the first word meaning for the word presence is your actual physical body. Right. So if he said, I need your presence, and what he was talking about was in context to, some kind of event or wanting to go on a date or something like that, what he means is that he enjoys or connects with you being there with him, and he wants to be there with you. There's a second type of context for the word presence. And the second type of meaning that it has is this meaning of like being mentally present, right? So it's like having a conversation. It's like when you have a conversation with somebody, and when you're having a conversation and the person's not even listening to you. they're like in their own mind, or they're just waiting to say something, that is the lack of presence, right? And so it's the absence of presence. So being present in that kind of scenario is paying attention to what somebody's saying and listening to them, and repeating back, and being there with them in that moment and experiencing that moment with them. So that's the second type of presence. And so it really depends on what the context of the conversation was for why he'd say, I need your presence. But either one of them is a good thing, right? If he's saying that he liked your presence and he wants more of it, it might not be a good thing if you're like on a date and he's like, hey, I want your presence, right? Because you're like, on your phone, or like, not paying attention or whatever. That could be it could be a bad thing. And so, okay, after a 17-year relationship and 4 children, why was it so easy for him to walk away? It's interesting. There's a lot of people that just walk away from things. If it's just men tend to be less likely to just walk away from a relationship like that. Women are actually, statistically speaking, about 3 times more likely to walk away than a man is, which is kind of interesting. But why would a man walk away? Why would it be so easy? It probably wasn't easy, but he probably did it anyway. Unless he's a sociopath or something. But if he walked away from a relationship where he has 4 children and he's been in it for 17 years, it probably wasn't an easy decision. And it probably wasn't easy for him. And he probably had a lot of pain. And he probably had been experiencing that pain for a long, long time. And it wasn't brought to attention, and it wasn't dealt with. And so what ended up happening was the pain became so great, and he saw some way to relieve that pain, and something that what he felt would give him a better life and give him more experience. Now, I'm sorry to hear that you have a situation where you were in a relationship for 17 years with 4 children, and that he walked away. That sucks, and I'm sorry to hear that. So my ex and I have not spoken in a couple months, as I have been leaning back. Should I reach out or continue leaning back and let him reach out to me? I still love him. So my ex and I have not spoken in a couple months. You can do that, depending on the situation that you're in. You can reach out feelers there. If you've, I'm not sure why you haven't spoken in several months. If you're going through a system, we have a system on our website about working with exes. And so if you're working through a system right now, you should work through that system, whatever that system is. I know that it's easy to get kind of distracted and look for other answers. If you're not going through a system, then you can always just, throw some feelers out there. Like I was talking about earlier with kind of the invitation to invest, right? And just find out if he's interested in talking or not. And, a lot of guys are, sometimes it depends on the situation. It depends on why you guys broke up. Right? If there is some kind of deal breaker there, what that means is that did you work on the problem that you had that broke you guys up, right? Have you worked on that problem, or have you not worked on that problem? If you haven't worked on that problem and it's a deal breaker and it's why you guys broke up, then you need to work on that problem before you do anything else. Just let's be frank about this. And then once you have worked on that problem, then it's easier to come back to that situation when you're in a place of kind of empowered, of feeling better, of, whatever it is. I don't know what your situation is, so it's hard to kind of talk about that. You're welcome. You're welcome for answering your question. And like I said, if you want to have your questions answered anonymously by one of our coaches, Anya specifically is doing the question and answer right now. We have a free 30-day trial where you can get your questions answered for free and a bunch of our best content by joining our Inner Circle free trial. Right now, it's a 30-day free trial, nothing to lose. There's a link in the description. Go check it out. My suggestion is that you join it and just check it out and see if you like it. And if you don't like it, you can always leave it. But you can get your questions answered in an anonymous setting. So whatever your questions are, you can ask them there. And it's a great place. We've got tons and tons of questions that have been answered by Helena and Anya about many, many different situations in there. And you can go and check out some of the other situations that might be similar to yours if you're afraid of asking a question. Okay, I feel my boyfriend is emotionally unavailable. Is there a way to address this? Not that I want to challenge him, but yes, I do. Can he ever become emotionally available? Yeah, he can become emotionally available, and it depends on, why he's not emotionally available. Is he not emotionally available because of some kind of emotional pain that he's dealt with in the past, right? If that's the situation, what he needs is to get through that and to reassociate being in a relationship or being in a relationship with a woman or being in a relationship, a romantic relationship, as something that he can emotionally connect with. If it's deep enough, he might need like therapy or something. It just really depends on the situation. It depends on him. It could be something really simple, right? Like if he's in a situation where he's not emotionally available because he's working all the time and he puts so much energy into his work that he comes into a situation with you and he's just exhausted. That's actually, believe it or not, that's actually an easier thing to work with because what he needs is rejuvenation, not like emotional healing, which is a much deeper, more painful, and many times something that a lot of people don't want to go through and deal with. So it kind of depends on the situation, but yeah, you can, it's not that you need to change him or anything. But there are some reassociations that he can make, like reframings. I talk about this idea of reframing in one of my programs, where you kind of frame different ideas the way that you want them to be. If he has a frame right now that, if I get emotional or I get too invested or I get connected too much with a woman that I'm going to get hurt, then he might disassociate his emotions with a woman. So he might not try to get emotionally involved with you because he doesn't want to get hurt. It is possible to reframe that. I don't have a program that discusses that type of level of reframing, if that is what it is. I don't know, since it's hard to know what your situation is, past hurt, divorce, yeah. So it's one of those things where he either needs to do some healing work or there needs to be a strong reframing of the relationship. And so a strong reframing, what that looks like usually is reassociating you, distancing the frame that maybe all women or women in general might hurt me, to this new frame of, that woman hurt me, or that relationship hurt me, or that situation hurt me, or my actions in that situation hurt me because of whatever, and a new association with you where he's experiencing, powerful emotions that make him overcome his fears of being hurt. And so I know that might have been complicated. I don't know if that was too complicated of an answer. You're probably like, just give me something to say to him. That's what I want. Okay, let's see here. So we're going pretty long here. I just want to say one more time, Inner Circle free trial. If you want to go and get your questions answered in an anonymous setting, you should join our Inner Circle free trial program. It's 30 days free. So you can go and check that out and get free help from one of our coaches who is brilliant. She's brilliant at what she does, and it's absolutely amazing. There's a whole bunch of extra content in there that you can read. There's articles, there's videos, there's text messages, text messages that really connect with men. There's a whole program about getting devotion from a man and keeping a guy that's in there. There's videos. Celine did a bunch of videos for the program about emotions, about intimacy, about sex, about reconnecting with a man that that's maybe grown distant from you. She's really good at that stuff. So if you want to check that out, there's a link in the description. It's the Inner Circle program. So that's all the time that I have for today. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being in our chat. You are the best part of our community. So thank you so much for being here with me. And thank you for trusting us and giving you information. And, I wish you all great success in your love lives. And I will speak with you again soon.